Hi, Pisces. I hope you guys are doing great today. Welcome to your general messages for the beginning of December. We're going to be breaking out a bunch of spreads, and I will chapter and timestamp all the different areas. So just flop around the video however you wish. So we're going to start off with some oracles, go into an extended general reading, then I'll break out into variations of relationships. So use the video however you see fit. For right now, guys, also I did do a separate video for the full solar eclipse in Sagittarius that we're going to be experiencing this week on December 4th. There's a lot of big energy rolling out, so I definitely recommend checking that out. And as I mentioned in that video, you guys are going to be feeling it the strongest in the 10th house. Now, this is particularly for Pisces rising, to a lesser degree, sun or moon. Now, I don't want you to be turned off by, I don't know my house placement, I don't know the hour that I was born. You do know, though, that wherever your Pisces energy is, it is 10 houses away from Sagittarius. So if that's what we're discussing, it's happening in your, if not 10th house, 10 houses away. So that energy of 10 is definitely going to be sort of vibing with your energy. So just see if what I say doesn't make sense in one way or another, but especially if you're Pisces rising, this is almost speaking directly to you. If you don't know your house placements, guys, run any free birth chart calculator. Your rising sign is always the energy that's on the cusp of the first house. And whatever rules that energy, that is your chart ruler. Very important for you guys to know, right? Okay, so Pisces, let's get into it. Those of you who are Pisces rising, Neptune rules your chart. Okay, so let's get into this regeneration. Message in the bottom, all that glitters. So as I'm pulling these, let's just chat about what goes on in the 10th house, right? Because where the Sagittarius energy is with this full solar eclipse, you're going to be asked to do a final release of something. We're closing out this nodal axis, guys. So the Sagittarius has been the south node of the moon. It has to do with karma. It has to do with the north node has to do with things that we have to work towards, which is happening in Gemini. But wherever the Sagittarius energy is in our chart, we're asked to release. So for you, the 10th house, which has to do with career, public reputation, standing in the world, those are general energies, right? That's kind of the stuff we always say. But I want to, just because of the power of the energy this week, I actually want to go a little deeper than that. 10th house also has to do with your connection between your relationship to your mother or your dominant parent and the way that you relate to the world later in your life. So it really is this understanding of recognizing how your relationship with a parent, your relationship with your early family has impacted choices that you make over the overall trajectory of your life. And because this is a period of change, and there's going to be a lot of deep introspection because you have Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house, a lot of you may be in this space of realizing, really looking at the way maybe that your first family has impacted you, things going on with mother, with father, right? Having to do with, especially 10th house is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn does represent father, but mother is in the 4th house. So I'm just saying your parents, right? And if both your parents weren't around, who was dominant? Who was your dominant caretaker? I'm really looking at that. A lot of you are going to be in the space of needing to release whatever energy has built up in you that is not serving you in a way of moving forward. Only if you guys are recognizing that something about that connection, that relationship isn't serving you overall. Built on solid ground. Look at that. Just wanted to flip out. Yeah. So we also have the new moon conjuncting Mercury, which is going to put a lot of focus on your thinking about everything that I'm discussing right now. And because specifically on December 4th, the day of the solar eclipse, we're going to have the sun is going to be Cazimi. So the sun is going to be sitting right in between the moon. It's going to be sitting on top of the moon, actually, and right next to Mercury. So there can be a feeling. What does that mean? Whenever the sun is Cazimi, it's very overwhelming in its fire element of the two energies that it's sitting between. So our thinking and our emotions. And what does that mean? If we're talking about a weakening, we're talking about some vulnerability. But the vulnerability is going to incite a lot of very deep thinking, right? Lots of deep thinking. A lot of you guys, though, are going to be very busy, right? That Mercury energy in Sagittarius, very busy energy, taking phone calls, appointments, negotiating. Um, Even though that's not the house of negotiating, it can be sort of like navigating something having to do with career, interviews, right? Really sort of trying to set things up for yourself. For a lot of you, it's that. A lot of you are going to be very busy. Doing something that's really speaking directly to your long-term plans. We also have this new moon is quincunxing Uranus. Now, this can make you very nervous, tense, and anxious. And that moon energy in the 10th house with Uranus in your third house, there can be a lot of energy where anxiety about siblings, about cousins, about something going on in your neighborhood, general energy where there's this anxiety surrounding the way you communicate. Maybe you're feeling anxious about feeling very misunderstood, where you very much want to speak with somebody. It doesn't have to be a sibling, but third house is siblings and extended family, but really anyone where you're feeling just this kind of thing where you just don't feel understood, right? And that could be very annoying, right? But some sort of adjustment is needed here in the way in which you communicate. So you might even be forced to make changes or experiment with different ways of communicating. Like if you tried communicating with someone one way, try to figure out a different way of communicating with them in a way that they'll understand you better, right? Also, that new moon is going to be sextiling Saturn, which I like this energy. It's going to have a very grounding influence for us this month. Which is great, right? I mean, so the moon being in the 10th house, and when are we ever so grateful for Saturn? Well, we are this month, and it's going to be sextiling Saturn in your 12th house of the subconscious. That's your home, right? That's your home. And the moon has to do with your emotions. This is a very internal energy. So this energy is going to be very grounding for you. And when we're talking about that sextile between the 10th house and that Saturn in your 12th, I feel like a lot of you are rethinking your long-term plans, rethinking and re-strategizing, having to do with career. But there's this element of stick-to-itness to it, where you're really trying to figure out long-term goals here. And this is a very supportive energy. What is a little less supportive is that Saturn energy squaring Uranus. Saturn energy in that 12th house squaring Uranus in the third, that could be there's a lot of restriction. Again, going back to that feeling misunderstood in the area of communication. So if you're feeling that this month, guys, just know it's not going to last. Okay. It's really, really not. But there's this, you're going to be pushed to change and change the way in which you, communicate and strategize, having to do with all 10th house matters. Okay. So releasing that negative false narrative about this view that you have of yourself in regards to how you're supposed to be showing up in the world, really trying to delineate what it is that you want on a soul level versus maybe what you've been taught to believe that you want, right? Or these expectations from other people. Okay. But for a lot of you also, it's going to be the release of a career, the release of a mindset of what it is that you wanted on a long-term goal. But that is where the release is going to be happening. But the gift is going to be happening in the fourth house. So whatever you're releasing here, the other side of it is a feeling of a strong foundation. Some of you are going to be, Gemini in the North Node in the fourth house. Maybe some of you have moved within the past 2 years, or maybe you're just closing on a home, right? Because the North Node brings the gift. Okay. If it has to do with you getting a new job, or even if you lost a job, it all happened for a reason. And whatever that reason is going to end up bringing a lot of stability into your life on the other side of this, even if you don't feel it now. And just remember, the nodal axis is the South Node in Sagittarius, North Node in Gemini until the middle of January. But this week, actually, the partial lunar eclipse began at 2 weeks ago, but we're just kind of getting into the energy of the change in the nodal axis. So now it's going to be Scorpio and Taurus, no longer Gemini and Sagittarius. come the middle of January, but this particular solar eclipse especially is going to be changing the energy. So instead of needing to release something from your 10th house, you're going to be closing up this chapter, and you're going to be moving into that south node is going to be going into your 9th house of your belief system. Right. So there's going to be a lot of changes going on in your belief system and your faith over the next 2 years. That doesn't mean a bad thing. It's a changing up of things. Right. And so if you're feeling in any way, shape, or form, Pisces, where you feel like you've been the victim of something, or you feel like that you've had to martyr something, or if you find yourself in a negative mindset of, why me? Why does this have to happen? I try my best and things just don't work out. All of that might be true, but don't allow yourself to stay in that space, okay? Because that can suck you down into this rabbit hole that it's really challenging to manifest anything positive. So your attitude has so much to do with how things are going to ultimately roll out for you, right? So we have regeneration, message in the bottle, all that glitters. So there's going to be a lot of changes that are beginning now, right? What I just said, in what you believe, in your emotions as well. Message in the bottle, if you even look at this card, it's pretty self-explanatory. The phone represents a message coming up from the emotions, because our emotions are water, and the stalk represents a new life. So you're feeling these emotions rise up, right? You're feeling the need for regeneration. You're feeling this need for release in order to move into this other space in your life. And all that glitters isn't gold. Maybe you had a lot of energy focused on, you had to do that kind of career. You had to be in that kind of relationship. You had to have that kind of house in that neighborhood. That's what you saw for your long-term goal. Get in touch with why it was that you felt like you needed that, because all that glitters, that glitter and glammy energy of that job, of that person, of that fill in the blank might not be all that it was cracked up to be. Right? Maybe living in a simpler neighborhood, in a simpler home, or in a different area, or working in a career that maybe you never even thought of, something like that. It's not all it's cracked up to be. If you have this idealized vision of what family is, and the white picket fence and the this, and everybody sitting around laughing and hugging each other around the holidays, maybe that's just not for you. And that's okay. You might find that energy with friendships. Those are your family. Or you might find that energy in different areas of your life where you realize that that energy, that idea ends up bringing you more pain than anything else. So you might even feel like, why am I trying to fit a circle in the square? Maybe that's just not my jam for this lifetime. That's okay. Let me focus on other positive things in my life, right? So really nice there. Okay, lots of growth. Let's go to the next line, and then we're going to see how these are speaking to each other. We have temptation, hole in the soul, pride. So I feel like there's some sort of hole in your soul. And what does that even mean? The sense of lack. There's a sense of lack that might be obscured, right? In a way where you're not clearly seeing something, which can absolutely happen, because Saturn is all about restriction. Saturn hates being in the 12th house, keeping it real. Jupiter and Saturn don't even really like being in the same house, and they're in your house right now, right? In that 12th house energy for you. So you can easily be feeling this sense of feeling held back, the sense of restriction, this feeling like, why are things not a certain way? And what you do need to sit down and ask yourself is, okay, if I change the way I'm handling this particular situation, and I release any prideful energy that I'm feeling, right? And not to say Pisces, generally speaking, Pisces are not very, not that you're not proud of yourselves, but you don't struggle with a lot of pride, but it absolutely depends on what's going on in your chart. It depends on where your Leo energy is. It depends on where that's for you, right? I mean, that Leo energy, let's just speaking to Pisces rising, right? Just Pisces rising right now. Your Leo energy sits in your 6th house of your work. day-to-day work, right? Your day-to-day experience. It has to do with your health as well, right? Also that Sagittarius energy in that 10th house, right? Also that Scorpio energy can be very, very proud because it's a very fixed water sign. That's in your 9th house of belief system. So you want to see where you're feeling very dug in. And if you change the way you handle something, so I feel like you guys are being pushed in that direction as far as temptation goes. So some of you may be realizing that you have released something, that relationship, that family connection, that job, whatever it is. And some of you are in the space where you feel really strongly feeling the sense of lack right now, and you're wondering if your pride isn't getting in your way, and you may feel very tempted to re-strategize communications and in an attempt to fix something. Some of you are going to be very much like that. Some of you are going to feel very tempted to reconnect with a past relationship, go back to a particular job, right? There's this idea because regeneration has to do with the endings and beginnings, very scorpionic energy, and it really does have to do with the past coming back around. You may be in separation with somebody right now. You may be not in that job right now. And in an attempt to sort of quell that vacant feeling within you, you may be feeling very tempted to go back to something, which it doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? Sometimes going back to something with a different mindset is maybe just what you need, or you want to recognize, was it really all that anyway at the end of the day? So if you're feeling this temptation to go back to something from the past, you have to really think about what was that last go around like, and what got in the way, and is that fixable? Maybe communication was lousy. Maybe there was just it was really hard to have a meeting of the minds, and so maybe it could be better next time around, or not, right? Right. It just absolutely depends on what else is going on in your chart. So we have build on solid ground, go for your dreams, and claim your art. Oh, I like this. So absolutely, if it has to do anything to do with work, guys, get in touch with what is your skill set, Pisces. You guys are very, very creative. Very creative, right? Pisces is the energy of the artist, of the creator, of of illusion as well, right? Because you guys are ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is very that smoke and mirror energy, right? So anything having to do with anything that's illusion, so anything like a makeup artist, hair, special effects, creative as far as like movies and anything creative like that. But it also has to do with being able to transform things and be supportive and being of service as well. So that's why Pisces make great counselors, great working in like anything where there's a rehabilitative element to it works great, because Pisces understands that challenge and that struggle, right? Because that 12th house rules addiction, and it rules everything that's hidden and that's underneath and that could be dark. No one understands that better than a Pisces, even if you never access it in your life, right? To the point of it being an issue for you, you naturally get it. You understand, you have this very deep understanding of people who have these challenges. So, however it manifests for you, you want to build this next chapter of your life on solid ground, but make sure that you're really speaking to your dreams. And I feel like because you have Saturn, which is a very grounded energy in your house of dreams, in your home with Jupiter, which is all about expansion, I feel like you're really going to be able to get in touch with what it is that you really want at the end of the day, and really kind of bring that to the forefront for you. So we have regeneration, temptation, build on solid ground. If you're returning to anything, just make sure that you're building it on solid ground with really good communication. Message in the bottle, wholeness, soul, go for your dreams, recognizing where do you feel vulnerable and vacant in your life, getting in touch with those feelings, really get in touch with what it is that you feel like you need to do in order to manifest and bring to the forefront in the 3D, something that's going to make you happy over the long term. All that glitters isn't gold. You might need to sort of look at where you kind of dug in a prideful way as far as holding on to something. right? And claiming your art, claiming your creativity. Now, I also want to say, guys, claim your art energy is very fifth house for me. And fifth house is a Leo energy, which has to do with falling in love, love affairs, romance, creativity. It also has to do with your children. So if there's any pride surrounding anything having to do with children, having to do with love affairs, having to do with creativity, anything like that, you might be realizing you're going to change your angle in how you're handling these things. And it's going to be a really nice experience for you. So let's just throw the Astro dice and see what houses are going to be supporting us. Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus and energy of creativity. Libra also rules the lower courts. It's the beginning of lawsuits. It also rules relationships, fairness, things that are equitable, and our ability to grow with other people. It's also the house of contracts. We have the fifth house, which is what I was just mentioning. Fair. So let's put these two together: fairness in relationship, fairness in contracts, right? Creativity, having to do with work, creativity having to do with how some sort of lawsuit is going to be handled as well. And we have this working with Neptune. So really getting in touch with where you feel like you're martyring yourself. This is a very sacrificial energy. Where have you sacrificed yourself? Where has there been imbalance? And kind of like lean into that and don't allow yourself to stay there, but recognize who have you allowed to take opportunity with you? Don't sit in that woe is me though energy, guys. Don't do it. It's enough to shine some light on it, recognize it, and say, okay, that's what they did. I have to make a decision. Either I'm going to love that person from a distance, keep my distance from that family member, walk away from that situation with work, or I'm going to revisit it from a different mindset. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to allow myself to sit and feel sorry for myself, because that's counterproductive, right? All about solutions. This is a very solution-based energy, right? This particular month. Release, lessons, and all of that good stuff. So let's go down some cards. For first, we're just going to do general messages here. So this is going to be general for career, general for relationship. Then I'll break into those of you who are in a complicated situation within relationship, and I'll pull a final spread for those of you in separation and those of you who are single. Okay. Try to hit everybody. So yes, we're starting with the world, Pisces. So yay. So the world is always about, world is Saturn. It's another time where we like Saturn. It's all about completion and lessons, right? Learning something. This is the Empress energy in numerology. So it's learning a lesson so that now you can grow. You've completed some sort of hard life lesson, so now you could grow. You know what I mean? So this could be you achieving goals in having to do with career, or the energy of a new position, promotion, something about rising status. But I can see you guys are going to be working very hard. It's working with the Eight of Pentacles is a very hard working energy, hardworking. So really trying to, eight is the number of mastery as well. So trying to master some sort of new skill set. And being appreciated for what you bring to the table as well. If this has to do with any sort of career situation, right? Because the Six of Wands is very much about deserved success, right? Great energy if you've been struggling lately, by the way, but this is about getting acknowledgement at work. So I like this, that we have Saturn, acknowledgement at work, and hard work. So working really hard there. This could also have to do with relationships, though. Maybe you've learned a really tough lesson, and when I say tough lesson, because it's Saturn and Saturn is Chronos, he rules time. This isn't like a flash in the pan kind of lesson. This is where you're looking back at your past and you're saying, wow, over time, this is what I've come to learn about relationships in general, a relationship with that person, whether it's a family member, whether it's an intimate person, an intimate relationship, friendship, whatever it is. And there being this now, willingness to work really hard in something in a different way, because you're recognizing if you keep doing what you did, you're going to keep getting what you got. You're recognizing that. And so that lesson you're going to make work for you. And if this has to do with relationship, this is feelings being shared and well received, really good communication coming in that ends up leading to a deepening of connection here. And what I like is that that's being clarified by the strength energy, which is Leo. And so there can be some meeting of the minds when it comes to the idea of having children, when it comes to the idea of romance, but more specifically, if it has to do with any kind of relationship, what this tells me is that your relationship may have been tested in some way, but things can improve right now, right? But there's a need to balance something out. So, and you want to make sure if it has to do with intimacy, guys, you want to make sure the physical attraction doesn't end up serving to like mask a deeper issue, a bigger conversation that needs to be addressed. You know, somebody certainly may need to have their ego stroked here, right? But there is this need for balance. Because what is Leo? Leo's heart, Leo's unconditional love. Leo is that energy, right? And so this lesson is being learned. We have communication balance, but then we have the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands is still a minor arcana, even though it's a 10. But again, this does indicate really something that is just like overwhelming, you know, you feeling the responsibility and the burden of something, overload of demand. Now, if this has to do with relationship, this could just be that your relationship is neglected right now because of other things going on in life. You might be neglecting relationship altogether and just alone by choice because you're so busy dealing with maybe stuff going on at work or getting a job or, you know, stuff having to do with family or things going on the home front, whatever it is, right? For many of you, it could be that. But yet you're wanting that, right? If it has to do with relationships, like you're wanting the relationship, but you're like, I don't have time for it. I can't do it. So for some of you, it's going to be that. For others of you, you know, you learn your lesson, you're having the communication, you're trying to balance something out. But what ends up happening is this information could be shared that you are not expecting. Because coming down here, clarifying this 8 of Pentacles, we have the expecting and expected energy. Unpredictable roller coaster energy, sudden truths come out, underlying conflicts are exposed. And for some of you, this could be a big sigh of relief, right? Is that you're like, I knew they felt like that, or I knew that was going on. Finally, it came out. But for some of you, it can be so sort of out of the blue that it can end up being confusing. And again, this could have to do with the communication coming in, especially because Uranus is in your 3rd house, which rules communication. It's that Gemini energy, right? But I feel like whatever is shocking is going to end up kind of being a release for you. As we have the Ace of Swords in the reverse, which is really positive. This is release. This is new hope, feeling free, feeling liberated from something that was weighing you down. And then we have clarifying this 10 of Wands. We have the 9 of Wands. So it's like something lightening up. And this is a strong position, right? This tells me that you are in a strong position, that you have fought very long and hard in something, Pisces, whatever it is, you're dog tired from it. You really are, but you're going to have the perseverance to see it through. This is a temporary energy, temporary in that, let me be more specific. You're going to be temporarily feeling defensive. You might be feeling temporarily like you got the lousy end of the stick in some way, everything I mentioned before. Again, just to be, this card means don't stay there. Don't. If you can maintain a balanced mindset, you're going to have success in whatever it is that you're looking to do. So for some of you, this is literally going to be making the time to dedicate to a relationship that you weren't even expecting. And that's the very thing that's going to end up being relief in your life in an area that you've been feeling a lot of tension, whether it's in relationship. This could also have to do with job. But one thing's for sure, whatever you're doing, you're going to be working differently and harder than you were before, but it's going to end up being such a nice gift for you, right? As we have this energy of this lesson, working hard some of you are going to be like, I worked really hard at that relationship and I got a lot of nothing on the other side of that. Where you feel like you put a lot of energy into something, but there was nothing but imbalance on the other side. There was no cooperation. Where you feel a lot of unfairness in relationship at home regarding finances, whatever area it is in that job. Where, again, putting a lot of work into something that you just felt like it's not working. At the same time, others of you may be feeling challenged by something that needs to change and the stress of a past situation that's currently impacting your life. And remember that Sagittarius solar eclipse is going to be pushing that release. For a lot of you, this is just straight up difficult memories of the past can make you feel stuck and held back in your ability to move forward in a really healthy way. Some of you are going to be feeling it like that. Where you're learning this lesson though, where you're learning, I'm feeling held back right now because I feel like I put a lot of work into something and it's just not working no matter what I do, no matter what I do. And that could be really, really frustrating. But here we have this communication coming in out of the blue that ends up creating a lot of confusion in your energy. Because the Two of Pentacles, each pentacle is a path. Should I do this? Should I do that? And here you are in a space of negotiating, needing to make a decision, right? You know, you could feel a sense of lack for some of you in money, for some of you in connection, whatever it is, you're feeling this sense of lack. So you're like, okay, I don't want to feel this lack. What should I do? Should I do this job or that job if I'm struggling with money? Should I stay in this relationship? Should I go? Should I get back with that person? Should I not? Should I call that sibling, that cousin? Should I not? You know, that kind of thing. But it's like the shocking surprise is going to put you in a space of should I or shouldn't I? So we have this energy of needing to balance something out is going to lead to this liberating energy. But how is that going to happen is through the very house that Uranus is in for you, through communicating. Because the magician is straight up Mercury, and Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So that's all about communicating to problem solve. You know, it's communicating to problem solve. And it's communicating to balance as well, right? Because Mercury also rules your sixth house, which is where Leo is. And this is the Leo energy. So then we have this energy of overwhelm and then coming down a little bit, decompressing a little bit, right? But here we have this energy of the Seven of Swords. Now, this can manifest a couple of different ways. The Seven of Swords, for some of you, this can just be straight up dishonesty. You're dealing with somebody who's dishonest, where they run away from the responsibilities. And this is why you're feeling very defensive, right? So if this has to do with the relationship, some of you are, okay, let me explain the different ways that I'm getting this. Let me just talk about relationship first. So you're in this space of feeling very energetically overwhelmed in relationship where not enough energy is being given to relationship. And then you're stepping back, you're kind of softening a little bit. But you're feeling very overwhelmed and defensive because you feel like someone ran away from the relationship where they were being very selfish or they weren't being very honest. It may not be that you felt like they were lying. Maybe they were just being selfish, or they ran away from the relationship instead of sticking around and really working at it. These are the different ways. And that could certainly put you back on your heels, but it does seem like there's this need to communicate about that. Only if you want to get back with this person. Some of you are just sort of going to be working through the healing of that, where you have no desire to go back to that person, where you're recognizing that not enough effort was put into the relationship, feeling like you put everything in, but they gave up too soon because they were selfish and they ran away. And you're recognizing that, you're trying to process that, and this is working with this lesson learned. And now what are you going to do with that? It's going to manifest differently for all of you. It depends who you're experiencing this with and the extenuating circumstances. But I do feel many of you are going to be experiencing that energy. Now, others of you are going to be experiencing the Seven of Swords within you, where it's a little bit of a mask wearing energy, meaning this Seven of Swords is a moon in Aquarius, right? In astrology. So the moon is your emotions and Aquarius is out of the box other than what I'm showing you. So some of you may be in this space where you're feeling very overwhelmed, but you're trying to stay balanced and you're showing up and acting as if, right? You're acting, You wear, when I say wearing a mask, that sounds very shady, but it could be because it swords is thoughts and truth. You may not be sure how you feel about something. So rather than biting your nose off to spite your face, you may be showing up in that job, in that relationship, in that family situation, acting a certain way that's not completely the truth of how you're feeling about a situation, but really it's because you're not even sure how you feel. So rather than, completely annihilating a situation, you may be just sort of going with the flow in the moment until you have a better crystallized idea about how you feel about this particular situation, but as long as it's kind of like there's a lot of processing going on here, a lot of processing, and I think that's going to be happening anyway with Saturn and Jupiter in your 12th house, right? So that's what I see. As for this first week of December, I see there's a lot of like lesson learned, processing, but it does seem like there's going to be communication. There's going to be a lot of communication. Shake up in the area of communication. Something's going on in the area of communicating. Whether you're calling someone, they're calling you, or there's some sort of shakeup going on with a sibling, some sort of shakeup going on in your neighborhood. Having to do with something maybe that you are learning, all that third house, that's Uranus is still hanging out in there. But the thing is, the way it's sitting in that square to Saturn, it has to do with your thought process, right? And things that are hidden. So some of you may be even like secretly communicating with somebody, right? Or, where if you hear from somebody, you may not feel very comfortable to share it with other people in your life, So let's pull a Celtic cross spread on those of you in a complicated situation, okay? Jet. Two of Swords, cross purposes with yourself right now, having to do with a relationship. So secrets in the past. High Priestess doesn't indicate secrets. You might have been holding secrets, but it also has to do with intuition. So you might have been vibing in a moment in a relationship, those of you in a complicated situation, where you thought the smart thing was to hold back, or they felt that the smart thing was to hold back. I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just saying like that's what it is, right? That High Priestess energy does indicate secrets. And secrets can also be, lying through omission, leaving out very crucial, where you might not be overtly lying, they might not be overtly lying, but it's like, oh, you forgot to tell me that, or you know what I mean? But because it's connected to the High Priestess, it's someone making a decision to not disclose certain information. And it does seem like that very thing created a situation that you're now at cross purposes with yourself. And this is not, if I'm going to say this is a confusing energy, right? Because it's Moon and Libra more than anything, right? But it's time to think, right? Swords, it's time to think because you're in this emotional stalemate that you need to make a decision about. And you might want to protect yourself, but this isn't going away. So you're much better off resolving it now. Stand your ground, say what you think. Some sort of decision is necessary, right? As far as how it is that you're going to be moving forward in the future. But Libra's a very indecisive energy, and it's Moon, and the Moon is your emotions, and Libra rules relationships. So it's like, you're like, I don't know. And that's being crossed by the King of Wands. So your confusion may lie in the fact that you feel like your partner has very high standards and they need you to be a certain way, and you are not that way, and you have no desire to be that way. You just want to be accepted for who and what you are. That may be. Or Pisces, you might be the one with very high standards here, right? But there's an energy of vulnerability surrounding this where you want to be free. Some of you may want to be free right now. And some of you may be in that space where it's like, do I even want a relationship? That's the King of Wands can absolutely be that challenge. Do we even want to be? And it could be confusing because on the one hand, you may want to be, but then on the other hand, you want to be free, right? You want to be free to be you. You want to be able to express your ideas and go after what you want and just be your old sweet self in a relationship with all your bumps and bruises and all of your flaws, and because we all have them, but you want to just be accepted, right? For who and what you are. And that could be the challenge, could be you finding that energy within this complicated relationship, where you may feel like somebody's very overly judgmental, but in the same way, you might be like that with them, right? The challenge could be you wanting something to be more perfect, you having the certain expectation, and it's just not being met in the relationship. And you can't not see it. You know what I mean? So be easy on yourself if that's what you're feeling. We like what we like. What are we going to do, right? We like what we like. So we have the basis of the situation right now and the Nine of Swords. I had to tell you, between the King of Wands being a challenge here and the Fool energy, a lot of you Pisces are just wanting to try, I don't want to say try something new. That sounds so juvenile, right? But truly, I am feeling like that. A lot of you are feeling instinctively that you want to get into a new relationship, or some of you not at all. But I feel like a lot of you are in the space where you just want something fresh, something new, and you're feeling very overwhelmed by the situation that you're in. Maybe you're not responding well to the external stress of what's going on in this complicated situation. I feel like some of you, though, may actually be in separation, and in which case, some of you very much want this relationship to work. You do. And you're recognizing that you guys need to adopt a different strategy for moving forward, right? Because that could be the Fool as well, right? Doing things differently than before, but you may be not sure how to actually make that happen. So you're feeling a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelm. You may feel depressed about it right now, feel very worried, and the worry could be, I know we need to do things differently, but I'm not sure how to do it. I'm not sure. And the advice energy actually is showing up as the Four of Swords, which is taking a step back and trying to figure out a different way of handling a particular situation. So I do feel very strong. A lot of you, if you're not in separation, you're not in a very close space, like you know what I mean? Where like you're sharing a bed, but you couldn't be further away from each other, that kind of thing. Because this is like taking a time out. This is the advice is step back for perspective, right? Great energy for the advice here is maybe do a little bit of shadow work, maybe even start with a therapist or discuss this with your therapist if you're already seeing a therapist, which I'm sure you are talking about this if you are seeing a therapist. But figure out a better strategy for moving forward. Because again, going back to the old cheesy saying, if you keep doing what you did, you're going to keep getting what you got. If you're in a complicated situation, whether you're in separation or not, kind of almost doesn't matter. There doesn't need to be a different strategy if you want to be with this energy. It does seem like that. Yeah. The energy external to you, and this would be the person that you are in relationship with, is coming up as the Sun. And they're all about growing a beautiful connection. They might even want to take a vacation. But this is a night, and because in numerology, this has to do with the Wheel of Fortune. The wheel does rule the past. Something very fated is happening. There's some sort of turning point and the need to take a chance here. But this could certainly be kind of this reconciliation energy. Again, it doesn't even have to be, you guys may be together, maybe you've been together for years and years and years, but there needs to be something in the relationship that needs to be reconciled, right? If you guys are going to move forward. Now, what is going on in your psychology right now that could be a bit of a challenge for you is the Hierophant. So if you guys are married, this could certainly be this. It could be the expectations and the need to conform to a certain way of being within the marriage, or it could just be the idea of marriage scares the hell out of you. It could be that or you really want to get married and this is the challenge for you, right? But the idea of celebrating the sacred to that level is showing up as a challenge in your internal psychology. But even if it doesn't have to do with like you don't want to get married, maybe you just want to live together, whatever the case is, it's this idea of conforming to a certain way of being, right? These expectations that should be put forth in a relationship, right? It's part of being in a relationship. If you don't want to have expectations put upon you, a relationship might not be a good space for you, right? And you guys know that, right? So we have in the near future the 10 of Wands in reverse. This is finally saying no to something, lightening up, taking a break from the heaviness, the stress, the drama, all of that stuff, right? And starting a new cycle. Seven of Pentacles is a very blessed number, guys. This is very blessed. It really is. 7 and 42, and, and 7 times 6 is 42, and 6 is a beautiful energy as well. As I mentioned in the, because well, I don't want to get into that. Whatever, the time of the solar eclipse in numerology equals out to the number 6. But anyway, I digress. 7 is really great. 7 of Pentacles is indicative of a new start, but putting a lot of hard work into something. Recognizing that this relationship has a very strong potential for success, but there needs to be a lot of patience exercised here. There's got to be a lot of patience had. So let's get some more information. We have the Knight of Cups, which is an offering, the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands is things very fired up energy. And this is about a proposal coming in and then events speeding up, blocks being lifted. Boom, 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 boom. Page of Cups, another offer, boom, fast energy going in. Fast energy going in, a new cycle, Page of Cups. We need to have some conversations though here. 5 of Pentacles. There has to be a conversation about maybe fear of money, a sense where feeling very disconnected within the relationship. 5 of Pentacles can mean that. Somebody wrote in one of the comments, 5 of Pentacles doesn't mean feeling lack, it is lack. And I guess for some of you, it could be where you're really struggling with money. But the idea here is that with the 5 of Pentacles, there is more support available than you realize. And I know nobody wants to hear that. There can be more something that you're not seeing, right? So there could be more support. The money situation may not be as bad because this is very testing energy, right? Where maybe there's a testing of resources, right? Within this relationship where you guys are having some financial issues or fear of financial issues where they're very real now and you're afraid that they're going to grow, right? So you're in this space of, you're going to need to consider some sort of new option to see a way forward if money has been an issue within this relationship, obviously, where there might be a fear of losing the security of the home, right? Could be that. Or there could just be simply a good old conversation about how you guys have been missing each other and you've been feeling very disconnected and far away from each other and you're not happy with that. You're just not, right? You're experiencing that pain in the aftermath of you guys just being in a really lousy space right now. And clarifying that is the 6 of Swords, which is about, making a decision to detach from the toxicity and really working on yourselves right now. 10 of Swords, 4 of Wands, the Death reverse. Okay, the Queen of Wands. So this can mean a couple of things. 10 of Swords is it's a 10, right? So obviously there's a history here, and this does indicate an ending of a really difficult time period. So you guys have been in a really challenging space, right? But it's the end of a difficult time period. Even if it's very difficult to sort of work past something, it is moving in that direction. The 4 of Wands is a homecoming energy. It absolutely is. Now, I just want to say, because it's with the Death reverse, and the Death reverse does indicate moving out of a place, where you're moving out of a place. When we get the 4 of Wands in the Death reverse, this could be somebody moving in with you or somebody coming back home. Okay. Could be for a lot of you, right? That's one way of getting it. 4 of Wands energy is also like the honeymoon card, strong foundation energy, but being clarified by the Death energy in reverse. For some of you, it's going to be that moving back home, but others of you might feel unwilling to let this situation go, and you're feeling a lot of anxiety and very obsessive about a particular situation that happened in this relationship, and there needs to be an understanding that a way of thinking, if you want this relationship to work, a way of thinking has reached its expiration date. It is, and you have to just accept that something happened the way it was, look for the lessons in all of it, and allow the release of something if you're going to be able to exist in this relationship. Okay. Others of you are going to be in the space where, because the Four of Wands can also mean, it depends on your situation, this can indicate a new partner. So where there's an ending of one relationship because there's a meeting of a new partner, and there's got to be acceptance that something has reached its expiration date and it's time for you to step into your power, Pisces and Aries, right? And really kind of get in touch with what you need in relationship and bringing that to yourselves. A very empowered energy because you feel like you weren't treated fairly, and you're in this space of recognizing the disconnect and lack and wanting to detach from that, right? That's going to be some of you where even if the offer comes in, there's going to be this energy of like, I don't think this has what it takes to go the long term. Some of you, others of you are just going to be like, all right, this is what we have to do, right? And the Queen of Wands energy, you're going to be like, all right, we got to roll up our sleeves and do the work in this relationship, because you are going to know what's necessary to fix this. But part of that ingredient, that one of the ingredients in that energy is going to be needing to let the past stay in the past, look for the lessons in it, be patient and empathetic with each other, that if there was a lot of pain in the past is going to rear its head from time to time. So you can't get into that mindset of it's like, again, why are you bringing that up again? No, listen, maybe it has to rise to the top 100 times. Maybe it has to. If you want this relationship to work, that just may be part of the process. Okay. It depends on what your situation is. Let's do a quick throwdown for our single friends. Single Pisces, what's the energy looking like for Pisces to meet somebody new? Queen of Cups. Well, I like this because you're going to be open. You're going to be unafraid of intimacy. Really nice. But Gemini and Cancer energy is also, you're going to be figuring out exactly what it is that you want, need, and desire in a relationship. Page of Cups energy. So we have the Page of Cups in reverse. There was some sort of breakup, some sort of dependence, some sort of dealing with somebody who was very immature. You're all about wanting to come together and build now. You really want this energy of collaborating. So we have the Judgment energy. Some of you are going to be very focused on going back with somebody from your past. This is about assessing the relationship, wanting to shift it into a new phase. Now, some of you may be in a space where it's like, that didn't work out. I'm going to sit with myself and reconcile and process what happened in that relationship so that I can move forward with that information so I don't repeat. Others of you are going to be looking to reconcile with somebody from the past. We have the Seven of Cups in reverse, really nice energy. This is about clarity, having a restored sense, the illusion about relationship ending. We have the Death card. So this is about endings, bring new beginnings. So a lot of you are very like sort of butterflying out, allowing the final release of something from the past. Can absolutely be happening here, but let's pull a clarifier, because in the same way, if you're single now and we have the Death energy here, you guys have been in separation. It could also mean transformation into a new space. So we have the Eight of Cups reverse, which is about fully learning from the past and somebody coming back. And then we have the Empress energy, which is all about Venus, love, growth, expansion. It does seem like some of you who are single. Sorry if that's not your reading. I could hear you from here. A lot of you are like, hell no, I let that person go, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then that part is not for you. There are some single Pisces who are definitely going to be revisiting something. Okay, now let's just do a quick poll for those of you in separation. We have twin flame cards in separation. Let's see what we have. There's so much unspoken between us. I need to tell you how I really feel. I wasn't honest with you about my feelings at the time, and my spirit is always with you. Can you feel me? Do you still love me too? Okay. Pisces, there's so much unspoken between us. I need to tell you how I really feel. And you're looking, okay, there's a lot of missing. There's a lot of nostalgia, wanting to make new memories. I wasn't honest with you about my feelings at the time. We have seduction, attraction, flirting, dating, hooking up, third party interference. So there might have been some sort of, oh my gosh, there could have been this energy where somebody was there either was a third party interference, could be, absolutely doesn't have to be. There could have been this, where they or you, somebody felt suspicious of a lingering third party energy, like an ex or somebody in that space, right? And maybe that fear or that vulnerability wasn't really shared at the time. My spirit is always with you. Can you feel me? Do you still love me too? We have empath and narcissist paradigm, being charmed or used, enable, boundaries, right? This need for boundaries is necessary in this energy right now. It does seem like that. Empath and narcissist paradigm, being charmed or used. The idea of enabling. Five of Cups energy. There's definitely a missing. The Sun, very positive energy. Page of Pentacles. Yeah, I mean, it does seem like there's going to be this new cycle of connection. It does seem like that. We have the Sun, which is growing a beautiful connection, really. After, though, this honesty is delivered, either you to them or them to you. But we have this Five of Cups. There's a lot of focus on the loss, the sadness, something ending before somebody felt ready for it to be over. A lot of this unfinished energy, feeling very nostalgic, feeling the sadness, right? Wanting to be honest about something, right? But then there is this energy of this, like, boundary issues. It doesn't have to be the empath and narcissist paradigm. It could be this idea of somebody felt either used, somebody felt like there were boundaries violated, something like that. But the Page of Pentacles, Page always indicates a new cycle, and Pentacles is connection, mental, physical, and emotional connection here, but a new cycle within this. Doesn't mean you guys are going to be getting back together, but I do feel like a lot of you guys are going to be talking, especially with Uranus in the third house. I do feel like that may be a situation for many of you. Guys, that's what I have for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a beautiful week. Happy full solar eclipse. Stay grounded, stay open, and look for the lessons in all of this, guys. Thank you so much for hanging with me. See you next week. Bye-bye.